Let's put aside the terrible unintended consequences of Obamacare for a moment. The main reason the big government types in both parties think they can shove this legislation down our throats is their belief that one phrase in the Constitution, the Commerce Clause, gives them the right to regulate health care. This is not preserving the Constitution, as they all took an oath to do, but evading it. The Commerce Clause is the federal government's excuse to regulate anything it wants. The Commerce Clause gives the Congress the right to regulate interstate commerce. Its original intent was to enable Congress to keep commerce between the states regular, to keep it moving by preventing the states from imposing tariffs on each other. One of the most devastating Supreme Court cases for those who believe in the Constitution was a case called Wickard against Filburn. In this 1942 case, a farmer named Roscoe Filburn from Montgomery, Ohio, wanted to grow wheat to feed his family and his chickens. The wheat he grew was entirely consumed on his farm, and it was never sold. Thus, it never moved across interstate lines. And since it was neither bought nor sold, it wasn't commerce. Nevertheless, the government, under FDR's Soviet-style central planning, fined Roscoe Filburn for growing too much wheat. The government argued that because the farmer was growing the wheat, he would not purchase the wheat on an open market. It also argued that if all other similarly situated farmers did the same, their decisions in the aggregate would affect interstate commerce. And therefore, Farmer Filburn's actions, which consisted of using the wheat in his barn and his kitchen, could be regulated by the federal bureaucracy. Essentially, the federal government was punishing him for growing too much wheat and not buying any from his neighbors. At the time, FDR was trying to outdo his friend, Russian dictator Joseph Stalin, in centrally planning the economy. The court sided with the government and ruled that under the Commerce Clause, the federal government did have the right to limit this farmer's wheat production. Now, why am I talking about this ridiculous case from the Depression years? I'll tell you why. Because your federal government used this case in its arguments to Judge Henry Hudson in Richmond last month in support of Obamacare. Your federal government argued to a federal judge that if FDR could punish Farmer Filburn for growing too much wheat in 1942, then President Obama can punish you for not buying health care in 2014. Fortunately, Judge Hudson would have none of this, and neither should you. And when the government makes ridiculous arguments in your name, you should know about it. The government is out of control, America. It wants to tell us what to eat and what to buy, and soon what to wear and where to go. It watches us in the streets and at airports and at bus stations. Soon it will try to watch us in our homes. What is the point of a constitution, of having it as the law of the land, if the government is going to ignore all the rights it guarantees by intentionally misusing a three-word clause? Remember what Jefferson said about all this. When the government becomes destructive of freedom, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it.